Hi, I'm Todd Ginn of the Alexandria Valley Cubs, and you're watching Average Joe's Sports Talk. Todd Ginn, Alexandria Valley Cubs, head coach.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you having us in. We're going to bring you guys on board with us, and I thought the best way to do that is to come out here and interview you one-on-one. We've been fans of your program for a while now, and used to get my head beat in when I was at Etowah and then went to Sardis, and you beat me again back in the day. So I've known you for many years. But, Coach, you've been a part of some special teams out here. You've been a part of coaching some special teams out here. But before we get into all that, and your legendary dad that was here before you, take us back to your childhood. What was your childhood like growing up here in this city where you're coaching at now in Alexandria, living in your household with your dad and your brothers?
Right. Well, I came out of the womb as dad was coaching, and mom was actually coaching then too, and all I've ever known is ball, and a couple of my buddies now will talk, and they work on trucks or do different things, and I have a tough time changing oil, so but all I've known is ball my entire life, and it makes for interesting. A lot of people don't know what happened around the household, but Daddy was worst thing somebody can say about you is you're lazy. And I think that was embarrassing to him. Would be the worst thing that they could say about one of his kids is they're lazy. And so that's been embedded in me and my brothers and anybody that Dad was around. And that was one of his main things. Hey, we may play on Friday night, and the next morning you heard the lawnmower crank up. You better be up. It's one of those things. And then, Scott and I are 18 months apart, my brother, and the work wasn't done until it was done. We were in charge of trimming, so we were the push more guys, and Daddy was riding the lawnmower. But even once we finished, we fell in line, and he was riding, and we were pushing behind him, And that mentality, you tell that story, but that mentality is what my dad was all about, and that's what we try to be about. Hey, put in the work. Everybody's working till the end, and we'll all quit and rest when it's time to rest.
There you go, man. And now, when you were here, a lot of that hard work had paid off, because like from 94 through 97 was pretty much the heart of a great, memorable, probably one of the most memorable runs, if not the most memorable run you guys had here in football and basketball. Take us back to that time frame in those years that you were here from 94 through 97.
Yeah.
You played quarterback here. You was a guard on the basketball team. You
right.
Multiple football championships and also a basketball championship. Just if you could describe what that was like.
Well, it was just one of those times of your lives you wish you could get back, because I played all three. Football was amazing because I think my whole career I lost 3 games. And you start to think about that in basketball. I think we lost 5 games total, and then in baseball we were playing, and one just led into the other. And that's what Dad used to preach. If you can help in a sport, then play it. Let that coach of that particular sport tell you that, hey, you can't help us. They'll be honest. They want to win, So we try to, that's what we tried to push. And, that time in my life, we're just so competitive. Dad was the leader. Dad was the top guy, but he was so competitive. He still played and pushed you, and we played with some really good players. And that's one thing about Dad that folks didn't know is Dad, well, they do know, and they'll tell you, but Dad, such a humble guy, so humble almost that people thought he was cocky a lot of times, because, he would keep his mouth shut a good bit about things and let other people do the talking. But such a humble guy, but such a guy also that was such a motivator. You wanted to please him. Me as a son wanted to please him, but then I got to experience how he was a father figure to all these other kids, and how they'll tell you to this day, I don't want to let Coach down. And so no matter what sport you were in, Daddy was pushing you to be the best you could. And then, of course, his number one thing is, I think he got the most out of what he had. You take whatever team he had, and he was going to mold that team to be as good as they could be, and to try to make each player become as good as they can be. And that started, a lot of people, say old school, but that started with you being in unreal shape. So that's what Dad was about. Get you in unreal shape, because that's the main job of a coach. In his opinion, was make a player do what a player wouldn't do on his own. Why we even need coaches if they don't? So it was a fun time when I was here. Felt like it felt like everybody hated you, but that's a good thing because the older I get, and the more you understand, people hate you because you're winning. You know what I mean? And jealousy is such a big thing because people want to be part of a winning thing. So in high school athletics, if other teams do not like you, it's usually a good thing because you're winning. Yeah.
No doubt. Now let me ask you this. Now, your dad here was a coach, and he's a household name throughout the state. Has been since I've been coming up through high school ranks. I know that in the 90s. Talk to us about him away from sports.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
And then I'm going to turn around and ask you about him as a coach, but you've already elaborated.
Away from sports, just a dad. Just a guy that's going to every Saturday morning he's going to get up, he's going to go get him a Coke and a moon pie or a honey bun.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And he's going to drive around, and then, if we don't have to cut grass that week, he's going to drive around on Saturday morning and just be a dad. Come in, watch sport, whatever's coming on, whatever game, whether it's football, basketball, whatever game's coming on, we're going to be around for that and sit in front of the TV and watch that. But never, some people talk about how much did Dad talk about sports away from sports. Not really. Not really did we go home and say, well, you need to do this. He was such a competitor that we sat and watched film with him, but never once did he say, hey, come here and sit and watch film, or come here and watch this game. People thought that was part of it, but Dad never did that. Now, us being around it, yeah, we knew the game. We knew the game backwards and forwards, and but he never pushed that on you. He let you be a kid. He let us be a kid. We had, we played in the yard. He was big time on the garden, and I didn't understand that at the time. Oh God, I hate okra to this day because the garden, hoeing it and picking it and all that. But he always, you realize that he was building patience and a work ethic and giving you something to do that would build you as a productive member of society. And that's what he did. And he loved to have fun. That's one thing people didn't see that side of my dad. They saw the competitive side of Dad. And some of these guys that may have played against Dad when he was a pretty good player and all that kind of stuff, they might have seen it. But as for us, we got to see the fun side of Dad when he was at the house, because he was a trash talker in checkers. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
He was, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make that move, or if we're playing wiffle ball in the yard, are you going to hit it today? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And just having a good time. And then also building what I realized in us is it was building up in us not to be so soft and so in our feelings all the time.
That's right.
When somebody says something, anybody can say anything.
That's right.
He said, you can't stop people from saying whatever they want to say about whatever you're doing. He said, jealousy is a tough thing that you're going to understand the rest of your life. And he said, so you can't let stuff that people say worry you too much. And part of that is joking around and being able to take me and you playing a game and you winning and being able to say, hey, you lost, and laughing and me having to take that.
That's right.
That's just the way it is. And he, it was so fun growing up because my dad, he's coaching all the time. So on Saturday, he wants to rest, but he can't because he's got us boys. And my mom all throughout the week is taking us everywhere, and she cooks for us every night and all that kind of. We had a dynamic of a family that was great. You had mom who was so supportive and understood what dad was doing, and always, one of her back messages all the time was, "You better not embarrass your dad. You better not embarrass your dad." And so supportive of what he was doing, and embarrassing your dad meant get out there and do what you're supposed to do. Even when we were playing, Dad was, he was a disciplinarian on the field and on the court. But when we got home, you better hope that Mom didn't have to say him. You wanted her to handle things instead of, Dad's going to handle this when you get home. And she was, like I said, she was just the perfect supportive person for a coach, and made him better and made us better and took us everywhere. And growing up in our household was a lot of fun.
Now, what do you think separated him from his peers? What was it that he had to be doing a little extra to get more juice out of the guys to be so successful in every sport? Well,
he was just so competitive at whatever he did. And that's number one, to be because you want to feel sorry for, now that I'm in coaching and been in it for a while, you want to feel sorry for your kids. Not your kids personally, but your team. You want to say, man, they've had enough running. Even though you really know they need 3 more suicides. Right. You know what I mean? Or we've been out here for 2.5 hours. When we're not ready, we need to be out here 3.5 hours. You want to feel sorry and do some things. Daddy was really good at putting that aside and just saying, hey, we got to stay out here however long we need to stay out here. And then Dad was really, really good at preparing. He was going to find the weakest link in the chain on his team and try to hide that. And then on other teams, he was going to find the weakest link and exploit it over and over and over. And that is what separated him. He was so competitive that he was willing to put aside the feelings, his feelings and the players' feelings. And then he was going to find his weakest link and know it and try to hide it, and then find your weakest link and exploit it. And when you can do that, you can be successful. You can be as successful as you can be in when you put those 3 things together.
We interviewed Mike Robertson, Pope's Bluff, and we asked him about coaches he had faced. He said, man, I'm going to tell you right now, when I faced Larry Ginn, it really changed everything for me. He said, that guy is just unbelievable. He said, I didn't want to face him too many times. He said, he'd beat your head off your shoulders. But he said, I remember going back and watching that film, and I was just like blown away by it. Now, let me ask you this. You guys, and you kind of touched on this earlier, but I want to dive into it a little bit. You won so much, such a high level when you were here at Alexandria. Did you have trouble coping with the losses when you actually did lose a game?
Well, I think looking back, that was another thing that Dad taught you growing up. You got to be able to understand that every game there's going to be a loser, and you have to deal with that. Even in the the little trash talking stuff, whether it be checkers or whatever, anything builds you up to understand how to take a loss. Yes, now my last loss in football, it's hard to let something like that go. But losing a game, Daddy was really good at losing a game and then preparing, saying, hey, we got to let that go. Now, the next practice after a loss, come on now. You know what I mean? It's you ask anybody that played for Dad, the next practice after a loss, it doesn't matter. The next one is going to be the worst practice of your life. And it doesn't matter if you were supposed to beat that team and lost to them, or that team was a lot better than you. A lot of people will say, and that's one thing that you didn't realize when you were playing for Dad. We didn't realize the team was a lot better than us. Dad's not going to come in and say, hey, that team should have beat you. You didn't, you know what I mean? He would tell us on every Monday during football season, this team's going to beat us. This team, I don't know if we can play with this team. Tuesday, fellas, I don't know if we can even stay on the field with this team. Wednesday, hey, we may have a chance. We've worked. Thursday, boys, we're going to be hard to beat if we'll do what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And even now, I'm like, God, that gets you going. But that's what he would. That's what he was about. So the losses were just, that mentality you hear all the time. We didn't get beat. We just ran out of time. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was our mentality. Even though we got beat, we should have won because he's going to kill us the next day. He's going to kill it. We should have found some way to win it. And so the losses were tough, but not something that they killed you because you were just so competitive. And you saw how, man, he worked that's what was so hard for losing is you saw how hard. Nobody saw Daddy behind the scenes. Nobody saw the work. Nobody woke up at 2 in the night and went, why's that light on in the living room? He's in there watching, and then you go, dang, I shouldn't, we should have found a way. And, so the losses they're difficult because we're so competitive, but also you just felt like you let him down. Yeah. And then that leads to, but then you realize as I got older and started coaching with him, you realize that, hey, you can't win all the time. Sure. Failure is something that's going to happen, and you got to be able to cope with it. And it's about getting these guys ready to try to win, and give your all to win. And then that's why we didn't have really a problem with losing, because we could accept losing because we felt like, even though we wanted to win and didn't want to let him down or ourselves down, you could accept it because you felt like you did what, you prepared and were competing and did all you could do to try to win the game. And that makes it a lot easier to accept.
Felt like you emptied the clip.
Yes, 1,000,000%. What you just said, when you know deep down that you emptied it, like you said, it's a lot easier to accept it. And that's one thing Daddy was good at. He's going to hold you accountable and make you empty it.
No doubt.
So that you don't feel bad. And then looking back, that's another thing Dad would do. He let you, so you didn't feel bad. He would demand the best of you, so you would empty it, so you didn't have to feel like so terrible about if you weren't successful. I did all I could do. Yeah,
makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears, you went on and played college basketball and gained a lot of experience there. Mm-hmm. What was that experience like for you to kind of get away from Alexandria and go play college basketball? And I know you learned even more in depth of the game from a different coach and a different angle. What was that?
Like? We talked about, you said earlier, and I'll answer that question in just a second, but we talked about, there's a lot of football coaches in this area now, in North Alabama, that I'm sure will play, that you'll look at Coach Robertson the way he looked at Dad, and I'm sure, but see, I've only been on the football side back as a head coach for a couple of years. My main, my main competitive stuff is in junior college basketball, where I spent forever. So, going to play, I had a chance to play college football, had a chance to play college basketball, had a chance to actually play some college baseball. But Dad always said, and it's funny, Dad was funny. He said, Jacksonville State, he was going to basketball practice. At the same time, the football players were going to football practice. And he said, we're cutting up. The basketball players were cutting up, giving high fives and stuff like that. Knowing we're about to go run, And he said the football players are just dragging because they know they're about to go knock each other's heads off. Yeah. And Dad always said, I always asked him for advice, and that's what he'd say. He'd say, I always thought I was going to have fun at basketball practice. And them guys, during the work part, was going to go kill each other. So that's kind of what led me down to basketball. My body was probably built more for football. But going to play college basketball, getting to play for a couple of different coaches, you either learn good or you learn, it helped me out because I've been under Dad my whole life. And getting to experience somebody other than Dad, different ways to do things, different ways to see things. And I played under a great coach at Birmingham Southern, Dwayne Rebo, Coach Rebo. Just really, really good coach and got the most out of his players and the things he did and the way he used us to be successful and put us in position so we could be successful. A different way than Dad did, a different way to communicate than Dad did. But, you see a different coach being successful and then Dad's way of doing it. And you just kind of ball everything together and find your own way to do things. And, I was blessed to play under some really good coaches while I was in college. And it led me, that's what I tell a lot of folks. Playing ball is all I know, but it gave me every opportunity I've ever had in life. It gave me an education opportunity. Sure, Mom and Dad had it set up so I could have went to college even if I wanted to play ball. But the experiences I got to encounter and the places I got to go playing ball, and then to get a degree on top of that and led me back to here, where the good Lord has blessed me to be and where I'm supposed to be. I know that 100% has all been because of ball. And, so really good experiences and really good opportunities for me based on what my family was all about, which was ball to start with.
You came back and coached here once you graduated with your dad, gained some experience. In 2006, you took over at Gadsden State as the head basketball coach for the men's side of it. Take us back to that moment before you walked out on that court and that buzzer's about to sound and you're like, okay, this is going to be my ship right here. I'm going to have to steer this one and guide it. What was going through your head then?
Well, I came back and Mr. Chambliss, who was the principal, gave me the opportunity to go ahead and start teaching. And Dad, of course, I was assistant for him in basketball and football. Well, then Will was coming up, and Will decided at the last minute that he was going to stay around here. Will, anybody that knows Will, people always talk about how good Will was and this and another. Will's a homebody. Will's not going to go too far from where he is. Yeah, where he is. He's not going too far. So it didn't surprise me, but it surprised a lot of folks that he ended up at Gadsden. But it gave me the opportunity. They needed an assistant coach in 2004. So I said, I'll do it. I can still help Dad. I know Dad's system. I help Dad on Friday nights. I'll teach here, and I'll go be the assistant coach. Well, 3 years later, I'm in the position where you're talking about. I've got a chance to be the head coach. And the first year, I got hired in August. And in junior college, recruiting's it's done. It's gone. So, that first year, I remember Dad coming to watch us. He said, look, nothing's ever as good as it seems. And he started with that because had been very successful and we're still very successful at Alexandria. Nothing's ever as good as it seems. But, Todd, nothing's ever as bad as it seems. So what he was preparing me for is what he saw as a veteran, experienced coach. I can see your team. You ask me for help, I'll help you. But you're about to struggle.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? You're going to do what I've been doing and seeing me be super successful, but you're about to struggle. He could see it. It wasn't like a dad that had never played ball. Right. This is a guy that knew and saw. And we did. I think we went 6-15 the first year, which you're talking about humble pie, boy, because I'm sitting here at 26, 27 years old, young coach thinking, yeah. And but that always stuck in my head. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems. So just go to work. And then we became very successful and doing things the way that I wanted to do it, not settling, a lot of different ways you can go in junior college. You can sell out. People call it selling your soul. You can go get the turds. You know what I mean? And be miserable every day of your life. Yeah, you can be miserable every day of your life. And that's one way to go. Or you can go get the players that you want in your system and take character first. You know what I mean? When it looks at, hey, this kid may be 6'5", how's he going to play in the post? But this kid that's 6'9", he's going to make my life miserable. So I take the 6'5" guy. That's going to do everything you ask him to do, and we become really successful and win 20-win seasons start, coming up, and we're, having a ton of fun doing what we're doing, and just basically taking Daddy's stuff and using it and tweaking it. What was great about college basketball is you had Dad's disciplined offenses in high school that you can reverse. He may reverse it all quarter long and be stubborn and say, we're going to be disciplined and you're going to have to guard it and you don't want to.
That's right.
In college, you can't do that because it's shot clock. But being able to take his stuff and to tweak it and use it in college and do the fundamental things and do the things that we did here and get the guys in great shape and beat folks you shouldn't beat was a lot of fun to kind of see happen. And then Dad would then remind, hey, everything's not as good as it seems.
Everything's full circle.
Right. So, just keeping that balance in there and my years at Gadsden State were a lot of fun.
In 2016, you decided to come back here. It wasn't like a homecoming. You'd been teaching here the whole time.
Right.
What was that like? What was going through your head to sit here and say, man, I'm going back home to coach this team that I grew up, had all these memories. What was going through your head then?
Well,
and did you feel like you were stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit to go back into football coaching?
I did. That's the one thing. Anytime people always ask me, well, God, do you feel this pressure from your dad? No, because you're not going to put any more pressure on me than I'm going to put on myself. So sure, when you say, what, God, when you thought about, man, here I am back here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where people are going to expect this, but where I'm going to expect this. I'm going to expect kids, to play as hard as they can. And I've got to find a group that's going to work with me of coaches that are going to also, be a good support group, but also push these kids to get them to play at a level that we want to play at. And it's not about, like I said, every Friday night you're going to see our stands full because of the effort. You know what I mean? Yeah, everybody loves to win, but when you go pay $7, $8, it's just like me and you going to the movies. We want to be entertained. Right. And not necessarily does that entertainment come with a W. Yes, I want to be able to say, yeah, we beat them, but I want to see kids getting after it. That's right. And, when you come in, and that's what it's about. And, have we been successful here? Well, if people feel like they got their money's worth when they come watch us, then yes. And I think right now, people come to a game and go, that was worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. When you walk to this field house, I know you know these kids that were here, but it's a different conversation. What was that conversation like with the kids? Your first team meeting you had, and you was like, I'm taking over as coach.
Well, I think it was so unexpected that Coach Tucker left. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So the first time I got to talk with those kids was in May. And I remember meeting with them, and not a whole lot, except, guys, we're going to demand that you give everything you've got, and you get after it and buy into what we're trying to do. And this is Alexandria. This is where we're from. This is not something we're coming in and reinventing a wheel. You know what to do. Just get behind, and we're going to all pull the wagon, and let's go. And it started then, and these kids, that's one thing about here. I will say, our parents, they know. You know what I mean? They know. Most of the parents know. They grew up in it. They know. And most of them won't give these kids an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Coach don't like me. Coach this. Coach that. You tell me that coach don't want to win, and I'll listen to that garbage. You know what I mean? Yeah. But coach wants to win. And it's what you say. Coach wants to win. So get out there, and if he puts you in, it's because he's wanting to win. You can help him. If not, then you better get better or quit. You know what I mean? Or just quit playing the thing altogether. And that's the kind of parents we have. Any of those, and those are the parents you better hope everybody has, because any parent now that gives their kid an excuse not to, unless they're being wronged or the coach is proven that they don't want to win, then you don't have any excuse, because the coach is going to put a product on the field that he thinks gives him the best chance to win. So any parent out there that gives an excuse is really just hurting their own kid, really.
That reminds me of, we interviewed Bucky McMillan. He said something very similar to exactly what you said. He said, A, more careers are ruined at the dinner table. Right. Parents telling their kid that they're better than they are. And he said, B, I can promise you, no dad, no mom is ever going to check a kid into my game, no matter how good
no matter what.
No matter. Right. He said, to finish the statement about Bucky, and we'll move on, he said, 99% of their perception of what goes on is between those white lines right there. But he said what they don't realize is between those white lines right there is 5% of this program. Mm-hmm. They don't see what he's doing in the classroom. They don't see what he's skipping reps in the weight room.
Or in practice. Yeah, they don't see all that. And like I said, that's tough, because as a parent, that's tough for us, because we want what's best for our kids. We want our kids to be successful. But we've also got to sit back and say, hey, kids got to go through some controversy. I can't give them an out every single chance I get. A kid has got to go through some controversy to be successful. So,
100%. Now I want to talk about this season. it seems like the pieces of the puzzle were starting to get together, and you guys got ranked really high. At one point, you got all the way up to what? Second, third.
I wish I don't.
And
the players would tell you, but I try not to
you
know.
just focus on what's in front
Yeah,
of
I try not to know.
But you guys also made a very deep run to eventually losing to the state runner-up. But now, expectations came into this season. I mean, they were high, but you guys starting to turn the corner a little bit. Talk about that and how you kind of from when you took over in 16 to the product we've seen out of the field here this season.
Well, I think the product this season was once again Dad in the background. That's I can't give credit anywhere. Just Scott, which is my brother, and Will, which is my brother, and then myself, and then Jake Welps. That's our main four. Well, all of us are family, and Daddy is coached us all. And the concept of getting the most out of you guys. I think this year we had the best athletes we've had around here in a long time. Yes, we had some dudes. And then we had a line that was so selfless. All seniors that I told people about, that was the main thing. You got dudes, okay, but if you got a line, it doesn't have to be huge, but if you've got a line that's going to give you everything and try to match up a man on man and do what you ask them to do, then you've got a chance to be successful, because then you can run the ball, which is what I feel like you got to be able to do in this game first. Run the ball and play defense. All this spread out stuff, yes, but you better be able to run the ball first. And I think our success came from our athletes being really good, but our athletes also working extremely hard. And then us having a lot of leadership and silent leadership. The line wasn't a bunch of guys that were going to talk and yell and scream. They were a bunch of guys that were going to come to work and do their job and show up every day. And that, because the worst thing you want is a loud, false leader on a team. A guy that likes to talk a lot. Look at me, I'm the best, this, that, and the other. I'm the best because my God-given ability is the only reason you're the best. Now, if you're the best because you're a hard worker, then you earn the mic. That's what I say. You know what I mean? Yes, you earn the mic. If you're working your tail off and doing what you need to do, and that's what we had this year. I think we had guys, anybody that talked had earned the privilege to lead, and then we had a ton of silent leaders who worked their tail off and never had to say a word and led in that aspect too.
You talk about your brothers being on staff here. How heated does it get sometimes in games?
You
got to give me an example.
You've got to. Okay, all right. I'll give you one. It's going to go back to Gadsden State though.
Okay.
Because both of them were with me then a lot as well, and I think one's been with me in some capacity my whole career, which is why I'm the figurehead supposedly and get a lot of attention. But those, they've been right there, and I remember one day in practice, we're just so competitive. So you can't think a whole lot about me and my brothers talking, because we may be in an argument, but just like my brother Scott says it best, we're brothers at the end of the day. Right. And we should be able to be competitive. We know we both want to win. So we should be able to be our opinions put out there and us not getting our feelings. Once again, Dad, preparing. Don't get in your feelings about things just because. But we're at practice one day, and things got heated, and one player wasn't. Our practices are so competitive anyways in basketball, and all the pressure, we put it on the kids, accountability. So it's always somebody's running a suicide in this drill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You win, lose. They've got some accountability. It's not going to be me getting frustrated. It's going to be y'all. Well, Scott and I were both, and the kid wasn't putting out like he should have. And really good player. And Scott had lost it pretty much and lost and got mad and said, it's either him or me. Talking about the player or me. He's got to go because he's not putting out, and I know you see it, Todd. I know you see it, or me. If we're not going to demand that this kid give his all, and you're not going to send him to the house because he's not, then I'm going to the house. Well, a statement like that in a practice, you know what I mean? In front of everybody. Okay, now I got to decide, do we get rid of my best player? Or do we get rid of, you know what I mean? Well, Scott knew he's not going anywhere. and it was just a competitive moment of him saying, we got to demand the most out of this kid, Todd, or we're not doing it. And yes, you're right. And so right then in practice, nothing was right. I don't think I came up with an answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Scott knew he put me in a position that I really couldn't come up with an answer. But I tell you what, that dadgum kid that he said that about turned it on. And from that moment on, this was early in the season, from that moment on, that kid was a different dude.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
And basically what come of it is Scott, he knew that kid ain't stupid. We're dealing with college kids. Hey, I'm about to put my head coach to have to pick me.
Yeah.
Or his brother. And he ain't going to pick his brother. You know what I mean? It's going to be me. Yeah. And that's an example if you want an example. But, that kind of stuff, it don't happen a whole lot. But that kind of stuff happens. And Scott's our defensive guy in games.
There you go.
And I'm wanting to stop somebody real bad. Will's in charge. Scott and Jake are on defense. Will's more the offensive guy, and I'm more of an offensive mind because that's where I was with Dad. But I love defense too, so I try to. My first 2 years, I think I was too micromanaging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In basketball, you only got 5 guys that you're counting, so you can micromanage a lot in basketball.
Yeah.
But in football, it's harder to micromanage. You need some help, and that was one of my faults early on. But like in a game, I'll be like, Scott, do you know they just running down our throat? And I know they're running down our throat. I mean, what you want me to do? You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff happens all the time. But once again, it's just us being so competitive. And then with Will on the mic, Will, I'll say, Will, they stopping that play. We got to do something different. Well, Todd, it's wide open if we'll block it right. You know what I mean? So
is he upstairs or is he
Will's upstairs.
Okay.
Will's upstairs. He can see a lot up there on offense, and Scott likes to be down on the field, and he likes to be right there in it. And Jake Welch is up in the box helping him with defense. So we've got a really good thing. Our group, our coaching staff, just like brothers. We can argue.
That's good though.
We can argue. We can be best buddies the next minute. We can argue. But we all got it in perspective that nobody is going to get in their feelings so bad that we don't realize every argument we have is because we're so competitive and we're wanting to win. We're trying to make our team better. And we got to find a way. And that, once again, that leads to you may see us on a particular Sunday evening watching film. We may put up a ton of things up on the board. And Scott may have his opinion. I may have my opinion. Will may have his opinion. Jake may come in with an opinion, but before it's all said and done, and we may get heated. That kid can't play right there where y'all trying to put him. Well, he sure can't play where you're trying to put him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But then before it's all said and done, well, hey, we all agree now that we've looked that this is what we want. Good to go.
There we go. Iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you this. This is a question that I think would be pretty intriguing to get you to answer. You grew up, like you already said, like your dad's old school, smash mouth, hardcore football. I mean, it was no nonsense.
No nonsense.
You knew arguably one of the best running backs in the state's history is going to be running it down somebody's throat. How do you implement the way you were taught the game into this millennial generation, which has a different mindset than you and I grew up in and played in?
Right.
How do you implement those teachings and coachings into this new generation of players?
Well, that's a great question, because Dad had a talk with me when I was a junior, and he said, Todd, we could probably get you a really good scholarship because you can throw the ball around, and I could put you back there in the shotgun, and we could throw it around like he said he did. And he said, we could throw it every play. And he said, we have the athletes that we could probably win a lot of games, a bunch of games. But he said, we have the best player at running back around. He said, we probably got the best player at running back that may ever be here. And he had this conversation with a junior. And he said, so we can have a good chance to win a state championship, or we can try to get you a scholarship. And he said, we're going to try to win.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And you be successful doing what we do, and don't get your feelings all hurt because we're trying to win. And, of course, I told him then, Dad, all I care about is winning. Let me fake to Mac on play action, and I'm perfectly good. You know what I mean? And we had a really good.
Imagine you had a few guys dive in the box when you went play action. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was so easy, and then as teams, that's what made us pretty good, because those years that Mac was running the ball, we always had a guy capable. Even when I was a 9th grader and he was an 8th grader, you learn by the time I was a 10th grader in my 11th and 12th grade year, you focus on Mac, we're gonna bust you. You know what I mean? And because you've got to you can only put 7 in the box because we're going to bust you. You know what I mean? And you're not going to stop Matt Campbell with 7 in the box. No. You better put 8. You better put 9. You put 7, we're going to bust you. Yep. You know what I mean? And going back to what you said, how do you use that to what we do now? You do a lot of the same type stuff, depending on what kind of line you've got. This year, a lot of everything we're doing has got Daddy all over it. We're just in the gun doing it a lot.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? We're still going to hit we don't do a whole lot of zone stuff. We do some because it gives you the capability of reading a lot. Yeah. But we're going to run the wing T sweep. We're going to do it out of different formations, but it's all the same. You know what I mean? We're going to run a lot of the, play action stuff when you got a kid like Ronnie in the back. In the backfield with you, you can do a lot of play action stuff. But a lot of times with us now, instead of throwing it, we'll use the quarterback to run it a lot. Same thing. You put 8 to stop, 9 to stop Ronnie, then Javez is going to keep. You know what I mean? Or Ross is going to run a reverse, or Ross is going to come out in space, and be open just off of the things that Ronnie can do and the attention that he gets.
Absolutely. Same concept, just maybe from the gun a little.
Yeah, a lot. Spread it out. Daddy used to tell a lot of time, we don't run a whole lot of plays. We just run the same play out of a whole lot of formations, given a lot of different. And that's what If anything, Will is really, really good at taking what we learned from Dad and eye candying it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Really, he'll bring motion and then send motion back. Or he'll bring motion and put us in the wing T where a team thought we were balanced to start with. Yeah, and we may motion from it, and get into a formation where we like and then basically just getting you to move your safeties and seeing what you're in. And that's the difference. When Daddy called back then, he didn't do a whole lot of changing and stuff. You know what I mean? He knew. Now we'll motion you to see because all these teams, everybody likes to act like they invented the wheel on defense. No. They didn't. It comes down to you can put a bunch in the box as long as you can play a man-to-man on the outside with no help. That's what it hinges on. You know what I mean? Or you can't put a bunch in the box because you can't play a man-to-man without help. That's right. That's what it hinges on. So, we just try to kind of find out, are they helping? Or is this safety helping? Or is he down in the box? What do they want to do? So we move some guys, and that's a little different than Dad. Dad he'd been doing it so long by the time I coached with him that he just knew. You know what I mean?
Said, we're about to do this, and good luck.
Yeah. We're going to do this and have a good time stopping it.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Talk about this is something I ask. I try to do this with every coach, and I always get a different answer. Every single coach I've ever asked, and it's always a different answer. How do you keep your players' attention with all the distractions going on, from video games to cell phone to girls to cars? How do you keep your guys dialed in every sport, just in general, with so many distractions nowadays?
Man, that's a great question, but not a question that I have a plan for. You know what I mean? It's not something that, hey, I got this plan that's going to keep these guys dialed in. It's, there's no tolerance. So if something social media comes out, the school may not can do anything about it, but if it's drawn to my attention, hey, it just means more to these kids to play ball. You got to have those guys. It means more to me to play than to get this attention off the field. And so, has there been some social media stuff out there? I'm sure there has. Has it been brought to my attention? No. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure those guys go, hey, he finds out, I'm gone. Right. He finds out, that's it. You know what I mean? And just another way is just make sure these guys, that if you work their tail off.
Yeah.
If you really, really work their tail off, they want to get in bed at night because they're tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It keeps them. If you really, really, and I'm not talking about makeshift, make it look good, work their tail off. I'm talking about really get out there and make these guys work their tail off. Then they know that, hey, and then you breed mature guys that know we here, it's work time. We leave, it's rest time, play time. You know what I mean? There's a balance there. And if you really bring them in every day and make them work, then you don't have a whole lot of problems there, you know?
Makes a lot of sense, no doubt. Let's change gears a little bit. Give me your favorite quote of all time.
It's got to be what I just said, because it's the one that's got me through a lot of times in my life, whether it be hard times, good times. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems, but nothing's ever as good as it seems. And that seems like a simple quote, but I'm telling you, it saves, just like something could happen to you on the way. You get a flat tire, and you can say, man, I missed that meeting, whatever, on the way to a meeting I needed to be at. But hey, when you start thinking, hey,
if I got hit by a train.
Yeah, hey, it could have been worse. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So it's got me through a lot of lows. It's kept me humble through a lot of highs, and that's why it's my favorite.
Favorite sports movie of all time?
Oh.
White Man Can't Jump.
That's a story of my life. Let's see. Favorite of all time. Man, Remember the Titans is hard.
Man, it's good.
It's hard to beat.
It's about to be on Premier Cinema, I think, this week.
Remember the Titans is hard to beat, because a movie that'll make you laugh, let you laugh, get you a little mad,
yep.
make you cry a little bit, feel like you want to cry. You want all three of those, and a sports movie that that there's a bunch of good ones, but Remember the Titans is up there pretty high.
I agree with you 100%. When's the last time you cried at a sporting event? Something that really got to you? Something that really got to me.
I'm an emotional dude. Anytime you're around, I've learned to gear it down when I talk about Dad a lot.
Yeah.
But it's still, I'm an emotional guy that holds my emotions on my sleeves a lot. Last time I really cried was probably at our athletic banquet last year.
I got you.
Because talking about your guys.
Yeah.
And I've tried, I try to think about a lot of different things when you're up there, because you don't want to babble along, but talking about your guys and how when a guy puts everything he's got out there for you, and you start realizing how much he's sacrificed.
That's right.
To be a part of what you've done, and it don't matter if you ever really touch the field. I get emotional about guys that made us better in practice, and just because they come to work every day, they didn't have that God-given ability, but they're going to be successful, and they gave you everything they had. And the last time that I probably cried about was then.
There you go. It makes sense though. What is your favorite hobby outside of sports? I take sports completely away from
it used to be golf, but I'm not very good at that.
So close to Silver Lake.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that, but without a doubt, and I never thought it would be mine, because Scott's the big time fisherman, but I love
fishing.
I love the crappie fish. I'm talking about, I would rather, you know what I mean?
There you go.
And I think it's got so much to do that I love to eat them so much.
There you go.
But it's just something that I like, close my eyes at night and seeing that cork. Yep. Still seeing it. You know what I mean? I've looked at a cork so long today that I still see it. I like trolling. I just like crappie fishing, and I love brim fishing. Getting into bass, but I don't like it. I think the weather kills me in bass because it's so hot, and I don't like being out there sweating. Crappies, I can wear a sweatshirt and feel good and love life, and it's part. My brothers love it. My mom loves it.
There you go.
So it's something that we all like to do. And then golf would be second. We like to scramble and get together as a family and talk mess. We talk a little trash. You may have a 2-foot putt that seems like it's 3 miles long by the time, you know what I mean?
You get through talking trash.
By the time we get done saying, hey, and the thing about it, we don't play for anything. We just play for bragging rights. But like I said, it's funny that we may be on number 18 and somebody have a 1 foot putt and you're not sure that they're going to make it because in the background it's pretty tense, you know. So
you're over there giving it to them?
Yeah, giving it to them, man. Giving it to them.
What do you hope these young men take away from you the most from your coaching and teaching to carry into their everyday lives once they get out of here?
You know, I've said it. You know, I heard Dad say it a lot. We want them to be good guys. You know what I mean? Good daddies. 100%. You hear so much nowadays, you know, no father, no father, no father. Oh, yeah, they got a father. Everybody's got a father. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But his father around to do what he needs to do. And that's what we want. We want you to we don't want you to give up or quit on anything. Just if you have a kid, be the daddy to that kid. You know what I mean? Be the daddy to that kid. Be a productive member of society. Take responsibility for the things you do. And then, you know, my dad was always, he didn't never, you know, push it, but you just knew my dad loved the Lord. You know what I mean? I love the Lord. And these guys, I want them to understand there's something bigger out there than you. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's something bigger out there than you. So don't act like you're it. You got responsibilities. Do what you're supposed to do and be reliable and somebody can count on. And that's what I want for all these guys. You know, that's what I want for myself. Be a guy that if Bo calls me tomorrow, he knows I'm going to be there. Yep. You know what I mean? Be that guy that's going to be reliable. Or I'm going to tell Bo, I'm not going to shoot him some smoke.
There you go.
I can't be there tomorrow. I can't make it. I wish I could, but I can't. Be a guy that's going to take responsibility. Stand up, guy. Yeah, and be a guy that, like I said, you know, we talk about being daddy, but that's what it's about. Be a stand-up, reliable guy that people can count on.
I like that a lot. We're going to close like this. Some new way I've started closing, you know, interviews is kind of give you an open floor here to talk about what it's meant for you to have this platform to teach and mentor and coach. What it's meant for you, and you know, have your family around, like your brothers and your immediate family, your wife. How's that meant? What has it meant for you to have this platform to do what you do?
Well, a lot of people, you know, talk about teaching and coaching, and you know, I have a math degree, and the money that you could make. Oh, yeah. A lot of people want to make it about money, and to have this platform, what else could I be doing? What else would I be good at doing? What else would, you know, that would make a bigger impact on more kids? Nothing to me. This is right where I'm supposed to be. You know, forget the money. Yeah, I got to have the money to support my family. But my wife is 100% in. She is supportive. I got 4 kids. You know what I mean? I got 2 little girls. I got 2 little boys. I've got brothers that are right beside me. How many times does that happen that your family, you know what I mean? They're right beside me. They're here every day. You know, I've got, you know, my mom, supportive. I would hate for anything to say anything about us 3 boys now. I think she was a lot better when she was younger. But now that we're older and have become men, you know, she would be one of those that, you know, say something about the boys and I'm going to let you know, you know. And just the platform that I've been blessed to have here and to be back here. You know, a lot of people say, well, I got to get out of that little town. I got to get out of here. I got to get, not me. Please let me be here the rest of my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Let me raise my kids here. Let my favorite colors be orange and black for the rest of my life. You know, I'm perfectly happy with that. And until the good Lord leads me and shows me that I'm supposed to be somewhere else, I'm blessed as I'll get out to be right here. And you know, and so blessed to, you know, you don't hear a lot of times the impact you have on kids' life. They're not going to come up and tell, but I know because I lived it under Daddy. And I know all my buddies that lived it under Daddy. And I know all the other players that are Will's age, because Will's 8 years younger than me. And I saw the appreciation that those guys had for Dad and still have for Dad. You know, it's real embarrassing for me to go tell my college coach just, you know, and we should though. We should go. I should go tell Coach Rebo a lot. Coach, I appreciate everything you did for me. Man, I appreciate the heck out of the man that you helped me become. But it's kind of awkward. Yeah. It's just human nature. You know what I mean? And then sometimes we never say it. We wait too late. You know, but I know there's unspokens there. You know what I mean? I know how some of these guys has played for me in the past at Gadsden and here at Alexandria, and that I've taught. I know how they feel about me without a word being said. You just know. You can feel it. And but we should say it a lot more. You know what I mean? We really should. But the platform I've been given and the family and the support staff that I've been given here, I mean, people say it and, you know, it sounds like some places are different. They're just different. You know what I mean? Yeah. And to me, Alexandria is a different place. It's the place. You know, it's the place where, you know, you want to get cozy, put a blanket on, and stay right there.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's that place. And so to me, this place is different, and this place is where I want to be.
100%. Man, I appreciate you sitting in. It's been a great interview, and we're looking forward to covering you guys, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for all y'all do.